Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Uh, Christopher, thanks for having me today.
Hi, Chris. If you can just give us 1 second, we just got to start the meeting. Can you still hear us? Can you still hear us?
I can hear you clearly.
Okay, unfortunately, the
Uh,
video disconnected. Just give us a second just to fix that little minor issue, and then I just got to start the meeting, and then we'll be ready for you, okay?
Sounds
All right,
reasonable.
here we go. All right, this is Town of Dayton Board of Health special meeting. Today's Monday, October 6th, 2025, and it's a little after 12 p.m. This is a remote participation Zoom meeting, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. If we can just stand and say Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Board member introductions. My name is Tammy Mello. I'm the acting chairperson.
Vincent Hebert, I am board member.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Chris. So today we're going to be interviewing two candidates for the board member positions. The first is Christopher. Chris, how do I say your last name?
Isabor. Like the I is pronounced E and Isabor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, so how this is going to work, Chris, we have a series of questions to ask you.
Mhm.
So you're going to be on the hot seat for a couple minutes.
Totally reasonable.
So Vinny and I will alternate and ask you questions. And at the end, we'll allow you some time to ask us any questions that you may have. And then we'll go from there. So I'll let Vinny start first with the first question.
Okay. First question, Chris, is why do you want to be a member of the Board of Health?
That's a great question. So, not to give you too much of a long, prolonged answer, because I tend to talk a lot. I would say that I have been a resident of Dayton since 2015. And to be quite candid, I have been active in terms of, sporting activities with the kids and volunteering my time with the Dayton soccer teams. But in terms of real impact and being involved in the community, I've done a lot more in the surrounding towns because my kids participate in sports over at the Boys and Girls Club. I would tell you that it dawned on me recently after my kids recently started participating in volunteer opportunities with the local nursing homes within Dayton, that I told myself and say, hey, what am I doing to be more involved in a town that, to be quite candid, has done a lot for us as a family. And initially when we moved in, we thought it was going to be a stopgap and eventually move away. But this is home now, and it's been home for a while. And I have a 13-year-old daughter who's very inquisitive, who's asking questions, saying, Dad, you're more involved in the Boys and Girls Club in Taunton. Very appreciated. You have all this wealth of knowledge. What are you going to do for the town and how to pass that knowledge? Hence the reason why I applied for it. I've spent my whole entire career focused on patient care at Children's Hospital, but I want to give back to my community. And I know the Board of Health, at least from what I've read, makes a real impact on everyday life. And I like to bring that healthcare experience that I have, even though I know that, let's be honest, there's going to be a learning curve. I don't know it all. So if I so happen to be the lucky guy who's picked, I'm going to have to learn from the chairperson and the current member. But it's more so that I know more about healthcare, and what better way to pass my knowledge in a volunteering position with the town besides the Board of Health, and that's why I'm here.
Very good. Thank you.
Chris, what do you see as the issues facing the Board of Health?
That's a great question. I think I did some digging, just reading in general about the Dayton Board of Health, and those all public record. So not much that I know per se is a problem. I know in general the Board of Health deals with safety, things like food safety, septic, sanitation issues, and also preparing folks for emergencies. I think I have some background knowledge there and I'm willing to pass on. I don't know if those are active issues that the Board of Health has and the town has, but those are knowledge that I know I have some of that I can pass on or at least help the town with.
Thank you.
Okay. As indicated in the job description, this position is responsible as a member of a three-person board to provide leadership and policy direction to the Board of Health staff. Describe your leadership philosophy and how this philosophy would form your approach in addressing the issues that face the Board of Health.
Yeah.
Kind of a long question.
No worries. Thank you. I'm the oldest of four. And I've learned through not just being one of four and, you know, of four boys, and also through my MBA program, I've learned that leadership is more of division of labor. I'm personally pride myself in being a good communicator. I believe that everyone's ideas should be factored in before decisions are made. I do respect that the Board of Health in itself has three members in it, and they end up, you know, enacting rules and regulations. But I believe that my personal leadership skills are being very collaborative, getting a sense of people's ideas, and then, you know, part of those ideas coming up with a solution. And that's how I personally lead in my day-to-day life, and as well as my current position at Boston Children's Hospital.
Okay.
Chris, can you tell us about yourself, your education, your work experience? How do you feel this has prepared you for the position as member of the Board of Health in the town of Dayton?
My whole entire life has been in medicine. And I went to the University of Massachusetts, Boston, undergrad, where I went to nursing school. Subsequently, when I graduated from nursing school, I spent the first 6 years at the neuro ICU at the Mass General Hospital. Again, all part of healthcare. Yes, totally different from, you know, day-to-day life of citizens and you know, like what I talked about, food safety, the septic sanitation, but there's some similarities there, right? And being prepared for emergencies. So I spent first 6 years in the neuro ICU at MGH, subsequently went back to school, got my graduate degree as a nurse practitioner. And now I am actually, because I have a big interest in going into leadership positions. I have recently, I'm at Fitchburg State University, and I'm just a class away from finishing my MBA. So that's essentially my experience as an individual that that spent over more than a decade in healthcare. There's some similarities there, but clearly big differences. My hope is, you know, my life experience working within hospital organizations would translate to being a member of the board.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you have any experience working for a board, preparing agendas, meeting minutes, documentation for review, anything like that?
I do. I'm currently the chairperson of the Parental Advisory Council at the Boys and Girls Club. I am also a board member of our Advanced Neurosciences program that's national. And as the treasurer, obviously, I'm part of the folks who set the agenda. I prepare the taxes for my organization, set up meetings. I've also been a lead nurse practitioner on my program here at Boston Children's Hospital. And part of that job title and duties as a leader is to set agendas and set up plans and come up with solutions.
Thank you.
So it sounds like the next question you just answered, but I have to ask you anyway. Do you have any management or budgeting experience?
I do, not to reiterate the previous statements I just made. Yes, I do. As a lead NP, as the chairperson of the Parental Advisory Council. I'm not sure if I added that on my resume. My apologies, because sometimes I have to remember the resumes I'm sharing. Is it a clinical resume versus, you know, a community resume? So my apologies if that's not in there. I'm happy to send you an updated resume. But as part of, you know, being a chairperson of the Parental Advisory Council, being a board member and a treasurer of the AANN, I have I definitely have experience in those lights. I will also say I'm the first to tell you this is new to me, right? If I so happen to be lucky enough to serve for the town, I would be looking out for, mentors, folks like you guys are already doing this for a very long time. So I'm not gonna sit here and say my experience totally prepares me for it. I'm the first to tell you I don't know it when I don't. Sometimes people get sick of me asking questions. Yes, I do have some, leadership experience, but nothing comparable to being, a Board of Health member where you're making decisions for the town that requires safety and preparing for emergencies.
Thank you.
I think this is kind of, well, do you have describe any past experience you have working with a local Board of Health or with the Massachusetts Department of Public Health? Do you have any experience with that?
Don't personally have experience with the local Board of Health, besides, personal life experiences as my wife trying to seek licensing, but I don't have a direct relationship with the Board of Health necessarily.
Please describe your experience with Title V and septic systems, and if you hold or previously held any licenses such as inspector or installer.
I don't have any experience with the septic system or Title V.
Which is fine, because when I interviewed, I said no too. So it's all things that
Me
we
too.
learn, like you said, and, we don't mind questions. We all have questions. We all have to start somewhere. So that's not a problem.
Thank you.
Okay, so this position requires fair and unbiased application of public health statutes, regulations, policies, and town bylaws. Enforcement may become a problem with some restaurants, homeowners, businesses, et cetera. What skills do you have that would enable you to effectively deal with residents who do not agree with you?
Yeah, great question. I think I know earlier in the interview, I mentioned being a good communicator and always being collaborative, right? But I also not shy away from, one of the things that many things that business school has taught me is at the end of the day, the buck stops somewhere, right? I do believe in collaborative leadership. I do believe in, communicating with wherever those parties are, trying to find, a middle ground. I do believe in that. And I strongly believe in that. But I will also say that if the time comes where, things have to be said in a blunt manner and think that regulations have to be followed, I would not shy away from it. Then I will also say I would be looking at, experienced leaders like you both who have done this before to say, how have you guys handled that in the past? This is honestly a whole new realm for me, right? And enforcing, how does enforcement works? I can come up with a beautiful idea on how I think it works, but the reality is folks who have done this before likely know the laws surrounding it. And at the end of the day, I don't want to step away from, norms that have been created in the past, right? Yes, I might have brand new ideas on how to deal with conflict, but when it comes to safety guidelines, that involves the town, so for the most part, at least in my experience, or at least what I think, norms that have been practiced in the past might be important here.
Okay.
Although extremely rare, individuals appointed as Board of Health members must make a commitment to be available for emergencies or other circumstances that require their prompt attention. Do you feel that there is enough flexibility in your schedule to be able to meet this commitment?
I think I would say yes, absolutely. I would tell you that my current organizations I work with support activities like this, especially when it has to deal with health. So I'm used to juggling a lot, and I actually thrive in those settings. In terms of availability and being able to deal with emergencies, I wouldn't think that would be an issue, given there's a correlation with what I'm applying for and what I hopefully would be doing with what I currently do. Yeah.
So I just have a second part to that question, actually. So it sounds like you're pretty busy. You're on a couple of different boards. You're back in school. We generally meet once a month, and usually our meetings last about an hour, sometimes a little bit more, depending on what the agenda looks like. So how would you work that?
Yeah.
So obviously, right now, we're on Zoom.
Yeah.
Which is acceptable. At some point, everybody's schedule gets a little bit busy, but we just probably couldn't do Zoom every month. So how would you handle that?
No worries. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think what I saw is you guys do most of your meetings on Tuesdays.
Yes.
I could be wrong on that. I would tell you, my Tuesdays usually surrounds just taking the kids to swimming. Both of my girls do competitive swimming over at the Boys and Girls Club, so they do that all year round. And some softball lessons. I'm usually off all Tuesdays. I would tell you with advance notice, given I'm in a manager position where I am now, with advance notice, I'm able to make myself readily available. And Tuesdays
Okay.
I'm totally off. I'm not connected to anything else, but in terms of the rest of the week, with advance notice, I'm able to modify my schedule to reflect that. And in terms of being in school, I'm already almost done with that program. I'm just a couple weeks away from being done with that program. And my other board commitments and should not interfere with this at all. They are mostly give and take quarterly meetings. So not as involved as the Board of Health from my research so far. Definitely quarterly meetings, and then for the most part, they're 100% not telemedicine, Zoom, with those commitments. Except when we have our national meetings, like the AANN I just talked about being a treasurer. We have national meetings once a year. It could be anywhere in the country. That's in person. In terms of the meeting itself, since COVID, we don't meet in person. It's all Zooms, and they're only quarterly, so that's a few times.
Okay. Usually we know, well, I shouldn't say usually, we always know our schedule in advance. So when we end a meeting, we usually schedule the next month's meeting. So we always know 1 month in advance of when our next meeting is going to be. So it works out well. So you always know, in advance to make plans.
That is, in my word, that is more than adequate time by my schedule.
Right.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
'cause usually it's around in the afternoon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, maybe 3 on a Tuesday, depends, but I mean, with our schedule. So that's typically the time. I mean, we're obviously, we've done it earlier, we've done it later, but usually it's around that time.
Yeah, rest assured, I should be able to make that. The swim lessons don't start till like 4 or 5 o'clock. And I don't know if I should say this, but I'm a boring guy, so I'm always in town. I'm just home.
We do get calls here and there. It doesn't happen all the time, but we will get a call, something's happening, or, there's a complaint or there's an issue. But that's not that much. I mean, it's a small town, but it does happen. It seems to come in batches.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, when it rains, it pours type of thing. So, okay, so there are many facets of public health that are outlined in the job description that require a basic understanding of food protection, public health emergency preparedness, community sanitation, minimum housing standards, animal control, stormwater, landfill management, swimming pools, and septic systems. Please describe any experience, training, or certificates you may now hold or have held in the past.
I personally don't have any certificate that reflects those job descriptions you just mentioned. Am I willing to work towards getting that and educating myself on that if I so happen to get the position? Even if I don't get the position, it's something I'm now interested in and I'll be persistent about. I'm always willing to learn. So to be direct and answer your question, I don't have any previous experiences with this, or I don't think I have any certificate to reflect on those what you just outlined.
So that is basically the questions that we have for you. So we're going to turn the table to you and ask you if you have any questions for us.
No worries. I think the questions that I have prepared were similar to the questions you asked me. One important one is, what are the biggest opportunity in town right now for prevention and education that you guys see the Board of Health can play a role in?
I didn't hear the first part. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I think what I'm asking is, as being members of the Board of Health, right? Is there something that in town now that you think that there's a big opportunity to pass on education to the town in terms of prevention and education itself?
That's a great question. So to describe a little bit of how this particular board works, we do have a nurse that we work with. And she's fairly new to the board. Vinny and I have been on the board for about a year, so it's been a transition. There's been a little bit of rocky road as we traveled. We had some vacancies in certain positions, so we're just trying to now fill all those positions. So it's like a clean slate, and we're just starting to try to implement different programs, working with our new nurse, Becca. So right now I don't have anything. We're trying to develop more programs with the nurse. We're trying to develop more community outreach and interaction through the board itself. So I think if you did get appointed, this is a good time to come in, because we're trying to invent more programs. We're trying to do more out there in the community, because, we all have taken this position, for the community sake, and we'd like to see, more involvement, more programs, especially for those folks, in senior housing. We'd love to see more of that established, especially the schools. I'm big for kids. It sounds like you are the same. I'd like to see more outreach in the schools,
Right.
Whatever that may be. So we're still in the works of developing that, if that answers your question.
Yeah,
It does answer my question, and it's helpful to know that it sounds to me, not to paraphrase, that there is it's a system that's being developed and it's more of a clean slate, and you guys are working towards it. Does that?
Exactly. So as I said, Vinny and I are both new. I didn't have all the answers, or, like I said, for Title V, I didn't know anything about Title V. So that's all stuff that you can learn. You don't have to be an expert at anything. It's great because we all have a different background that we bring to the table. So that's the great part of this board. We all work very well together. As I said, it was a little rocky, when we started. There were some vacancies and, some things that came up, but we worked through it. And we're getting stronger. Each and every meeting, we're getting stronger. And we're here for the community. So I'd like to see more, more happen in the future.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear. Another question I may have for you, so based on the interview we've had today, does anything that I've shared today gives you pause to say I might not be a good candidate for this position?
I would say, just off the top, I would say no. One of the biggest parts of doing this board position, and just to reiterate what Tammy said, is once we need to fill the board out with the third person, and then we can really, get things, moving even in a faster direction. So, the biggest part really, a lot of it is just flexibility. That's why Tammy asked you that question about, would you be flexible as far as meetings are concerned? Because even though we're both retired, I can tell you that we're not sitting on the porch, in rocking chairs. We have a lot going on in our lives, and things go back and forth. So flexibility is probably is really, really up there. And positive attitude. You definitely have a positive attitude, and, that's a good factor, and you're willing to contribute. So other than that, I'd say, I hope that answers that question.
No, it does. And you both don't look like you're retired at all, and I envy you.
Thank you.
No
How do I feel
worries.
like I am?
Well, you don't look like it, and sorry, I know someone's taking records of this. That could be off the record. My apologies. Flexibility. I think I'm glad this came back full circle. I will tell you that I'm in my early 40s. And I am way not anywhere close to the experiences that you guys have had in life, especially you're retired. So I'll give you guys credit for that. But I'll also say at this stage in my life, I know what's important to me and what's not. And obviously I'm learning every day. I do know that whatever I put my heart to, I usually complete it. That's a skill that I'm passing on to my kids as well. So something that's important to you, you want to dedicate time to it and make time for it. And I am grateful for this opportunity to talk to you guys. I am grateful that I was able to get into a conversation with my 13-year-old a month or two ago that brought this up. And I will tell you, this is important to me. We are here in town and this is home, and I know it's hard to say 10 years in, but this is home and we love the town and we love our neighbors, and now it's a matter of, okay, this is your route. You tend to give back to a lot of other places. What are you doing for your town? Now, it doesn't have to necessarily, and this is where I'm not talking myself out of the position because I really want the Board of Health position. And obviously, it's a volunteering position. I will also say that does it have to be the Board of Health? If I don't get this opportunity to serve, I will find ways to serve the town because this is home now. I'm hoping I get selected, but if I don't get selected, I'll find other ways to help the town and at least the knowledge that I've acquired over my entire life. That way, my 13-year-old can look at me and say, Dad, you can't always tell us to volunteer for all this stuff and you're not doing something for the actual town that you live in. So yeah.
That's great. Well, we appreciate you for all that you do for the kids, especially working in your profession.
Thank
I
you.
think it's wonderful. So what will happen now is we're going to finish with interviews, and Liz, who you've been in contact with, who she just got promoted. She's now going to be the health inspector.
Congratulations.
So we will finish, like I said, with the interviews, and Liz will reach out to you once a decision is made. So again, thank you very much for taking the time to interview with us. It was a great interview, I think, and you definitely have some great qualifications.
Thank you so much.
And we hope you have a great day.
No, thank you so much for having me, and I hope you guys have a great day. And I think the weather is nice out, and I know you're both retired, so enjoy the day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris.
Take care.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Sure. Hello, Kristen. You're on the hot seat. Hot stand. You can stand right at the podium if you don't mind. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask you a series of questions. And then once we're done with the questions, we'll allow you at the end of it to ask any questions for us, so you can put us on the hot seat. Okay. In return. So I'll start since Vinny started with the first question and the last candidate. So the first question would be, why do you want to be a member of the Board of Health?
I have been in town for almost 16 years. I'm interested in helping the community. I've helped out with PTO. I've been on the COVID reopening the schools committee, and it really interests me to help keep everybody safe and all their processes like available.
Great.
What do you see as the issues facing the Board of Health?
As an issue,
Well, yeah, what issues do you see facing the Board of Health that, you know,
like in like health issues or like
because we don't just deal with health issues, right?
right.
It's like, it's townspeople,
Very
it's,
broad.
it's septic systems, perk tests, things like that. So if there anything that you think, you know, that we, you know, the issues that we face, anything?
I think making sure that people's housing and water supply is important. Trash collection and sanitation is a big issue. Obviously, health and safety as well.
Yes to all of the above.
As indicated in the job description, this position is responsible as a member of a three-person board to provide leadership and policy direction to the Board of Health staff. Describe your leadership philosophy and how this philosophy would inform your approach in addressing the issues that face the Board of Health.
I've been on quite a few boards. Probably the biggest thing is working well with others and knowing when it's time to step up and state your beliefs, but also working well with others and knowing that sometimes your opinion can change based on what other people have for the information that they give you, because it's always evolving and you're always changing.
Okay, please tell us about yourself, your education, your work experience. How do you feel this has prepared you for the position as a member of the Board of Health in the town of Dayton?
So my last full-time job was when I worked at Sears. It doesn't necessarily speak to the Board of Health, but I sold appliances, so I work well with people. I know how to read people and help them get what they're looking for out of things. I was on the PTO, which you have to work with lots of different personalities, and you're responsible for a lot of children at all the events and everything that you do. I enjoyed being on the COVID reopening committee. That was different because it was all in Zoom because nobody could see each other. But we worked on reading everything that was constantly changing at a fast pace and trying to do what was best for the students and the town and keep everybody safe at the same time.
Which basically every day it was.
Yeah. It was like every time we had a meeting, it was like all new information, and it was like, could be completely coin flipped from the day before and what we thought was happening. I also did work on the committee for the library. We worked on, I don't think I put that in my resume, which was held here, and then I think it went to Zoom. We were working on the mission statement of the library.
Do you have any experience working with, working for a board and preparing agendas, meeting minutes, documentations, documentation for review, et cetera? So it sounds like you just answered.
Yeah, through the PTO. Yeah, I did all that.
Do you have any management or budgeting experience?
I don't have any, just being a mom and a wife.
That's management right there. Yeah.
For management and for budgeting, but I don't have any specific documentation in the field.
Okay.
Please describe any past experience you have working with the local Board of Health and or the Massachusetts Department of Public Health.
So my most recent experience with the Board of Health was over the summer, I tested positive for anaplasma. So the local Board of Health, it wasn't here, it was like the next step up. They called me and I had to interview with them and give them information and stuff, which was intriguing to see what goes into trying to keep the community safe and documenting everything.
Please describe your experience with Title V, excuse me, and septic systems, and if you hold or previously held any licenses such as an inspector or installer.
I don't have any experience with Title V or septics. The only thing, I have a friend that builds septics, and that's as close as I've gotten to that.
Okay.
This position requires fair and unbiased application of public health statutes, regulations, policies, and town bylaws. Enforcement let me try that again. Enforcement may become a problem with some restaurants, homeowners, businesses, et cetera. What skills do you have that would enable you to effectively deal with residents who don't agree with you?
I tend to have a calm demeanor that I can speak with people and try to explain to them what needs to be done and that we're not necessarily there to cause problems, just to research and get information. I don't know what what would be available to me for resources if I needed support, but I could research that once I know what we have.
Although extremely rare, individuals appointed as Board of Health members must make a commitment to be available for emergencies and other circumstances that require their prompt attention. Do you feel there is enough flexibility in your schedule to be able to meet this commitment?
Yes, yes, I do.
There are many facets of public health that are outlined in the job description that require a basic understanding of food protection, public health emergency preparedness, community sanitation, minimum housing standards, animal control, stormwater, landfill management, swimming pools, and septic systems. Please describe any experience, training, or certificates you may now hold or have held in the past. That's a lot right there.
It is a lot. I do have a certificate to sell chickens and chicks. So I've gone through the state of Massachusetts. They come out and they test my birds every year. So I'm familiar with that. I think I'd probably have to go through the list again.
By one.
Yeah.
It's quite a list.
Yeah, I don't, but specifically certification wise, like that's probably the only thing that I have that would signify that I've completed that.
Do you have any questions for us?
No, I don't think so. Basically, the only thing that I had leading into today was that, you know, obviously being nervous about being interviewed. I don't really, like, I've read as much as I can, and I couldn't really find what was going to be at my disposal for resources, like to help in situations where you're going to somebody's house or different things like that. Like, would you bring another board member with you? Would you have the opportunity to like bring a police officer with you if it was like that? So I think that's probably the biggest thing, is that I'd want to know what was available to me going into a situation.
Great question. So the good thing is that hardly ever happens.
Okay.
So we have Liz, who would be going out. Board members really go out to, I did one time with Liz and with a police officer. So those times are usually don't happen.
Far and few between.
Liz, yes. We have Liz who does all that for us. We may at a particular time have to go, but it's not something that's a normal procedure.
Okay.
So we more or less meet as a committee. We would have, once we're up to the number of people, there's 3 people that sit on this particular board, Vinny and I, and the next new person would meet monthly, and we go through an agenda. And believe it or not, it's, you would think that there would be more, like health stuff or health related parts of the agenda, but it seems to be more of like septic systems.
Okay, like codes and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right, new septics that are going in, Title V inspections. So I think we deal mostly with that in particular than we do during, more health-related things. Although during the time of COVID, as you were describing, I could only imagine the people on the board, how it must have been, because I'm
Yes.
sure it was crazy because
It was a lot.
by the day. So you never knew what was happening unless you turned on the TV to watch the news, like, okay, what they say today, how we doing things now? So it did change quite rapidly. But for us, it's pretty much.
Okay.
We're more,
Liz like reports to you and then you
No, she
get the
doesn't.
information.
No,
But I mean, like, if she goes out to a house or something, she would be bringing you that information and then you would be looking over.
once, a
Okay.
month, she would give us a report monthly of
we're
what.
more administrative than, so the Board of Health is really more an administrative body. We look at budget, we look at, we set pricing for like trash bags and things like that and get involved in that. So we're not in the weeds.
Okay.
Right? We're not going out to, inspect this or making sure that a perk test is correct. We get the reports and then we would review them and we'd sign off on them. We sign off on permits. Again, we look at a lot of budgeting, things that happen, work with Ralph and Karen on those types of issues. But it's like once a year or so that we do that. But you think of it as more as like more administrative
Okay.
than anything else.
Okay.
And so, for example, we had someone who came in, they wanted to put in apartments above their business. And that was a whole process that we had, that we had to go with. We relied on the town engineer for that. We relied on the, inspectors for that. We had to get the septic reports and things like that. So again, you think of it more that way. We're not going to send you out to, jump in a hole and make sure that the flow septic thing is fine. No, that's not,
It doesn't happen like that. And Vinny and I have been on the board about a year now. And when I was in the hot seats, so to speak, there was things on those same questions that I didn't have the certifications
Yeah.
for, which you don't really need to have. And the great part of our board right now is we all have come from different backgrounds. So we all have something to bring to the table. And we work very well together, the three of us. So we're looking for another board member who, can be part of the team and we can move forward. We just hired a nurse. Liz has gotten promoted, so we're going to be looking for an office manager at some point. Good things are going to happen in the future. We've really had some rocky roads, but we've got right by it and, we're excited. And Vinny and I both here, and I can speak for him because I've heard him say it a million times, and I know I've said it a million times. We're here because we want to be here, because we love the town. We want to do what's best or do the right thing for the people of the town. So it's a great thing.
Mhm.
So we're excited.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Thought about.
Do you have any other questions for the board?
No.
All right, you're all set.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy the beautiful day. Yes. All right, we're going to move right into board member recommendation. I thought there were two great people. Definitely. And we have now a difficult decision. Who do we think?
I like Chris.
Yeah, he definitely has a great resume. Kristen does too. I like the fact that he's a nurse practitioner. I love the fact that he works with kids. And just, I'm sure what he has done, and I forget how long he's been a nurse or a nurse practitioner, but I can only imagine, the things that he's been involved with.
Right.
Just looking at the unit he works on, incredible.
In neurosurgery, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's just incredible.
He has a lot of energy.
He
Yeah,
does.
yeah, a lot of energy.
And the entire time that he was talking, I kept thinking, oh my God, he kind of reminds me of me when I was that age, because I was like, oh my God, I can conquer the world, I can do everything.
Yep.
And I like that energy,
Yeah.
and I also like the fact that he basically said, I don't know everything, but I'm willing to learn.
Mhm.
So I like that attitude.
Yeah.
When people don't think that they know everything.
Yeah.
And he's okay with that. Hey, I may not know that, but if you can point me in the right direction and,
Yep.
share some experience with me,
Yep, I
I'm
agree.
willing to learn. So
I
I
think
thought that was great.
I think Kristen would probably have more flexibility, but it seems like, Chris would as well.
Right.
You know what he was saying, his Tuesdays are the days off. but-
Right, his days off, so
Yeah.
that's great.
Yep.
And I think once we're up to full complement as far as staff wise, I don't think we're gonna have as many, knock on wood, emergencies as far as meetings
Mhm.
are concerned. So I think that's gonna be a great thing. So
Yep.
it should really work out.
So
So,
I would go with Chris.
okay, so if you'd like to make a motion,
I would make a motion to nominate Chris Isidore for member of the Board of Health.
okay, I step down, I second that motion. Can I get a vote?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Chris it is. So Liz, if you'd like to give him a call after the meeting and let him know, that would be wonderful. All right, so we're gonna move right on in the agenda. We're going to move to approving the stormwater permits. We have 2614 Horton Street, 2628 Horton Street, 2642 Horton Street. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve stormwater permits for 2614, 2628, and 2642, all on Horton Street.
I step down, I second that motion. Can I get a vote?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. And we have one other thing to do, and that's approve the meeting minutes of August the 27th and September 9th of 2025. If I can get a motion for that.
Motion to approve meeting minutes for August 27th, 2025, and September 9th, 2025.
I step down, I second that motion. Can I get a vote?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. And lastly, adjournment. Unless we have anything else that we need to discuss before our regular monthly meeting, I don't have anything. Okay, excellent.
Okay. Make a motion to adjourn.
I step down, I second that motion. Can I get a vote?
And that is an aye.
Aye, motion passes and meeting adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.
Easy. Yes.
You were.